Hey, it's Liz from No Trace. A while back, my brother gifted me this really cool overnight bag, but as you can see, some of the material is starting to peel. It's a type of faux leather. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to take off a peeling fabric like this and replace it. So let's go. So this bag has peeling fabric down at the bottom and at the handles. So the first thing you're going to need is a seam ripper to carefully seam rip any of this fabric off of the bag. This bag is fully lined, so I am going to be seam ripping carefully from the outside, and I want to save this fabric and measure it to create the other piece of fabric to replace it if I can. So I'm just going to start by finding some stitches here on the top of the bag, and I'm just going to take my time and cut these stitches until I can get a little opening here and actually get in between the fabrics, but that's probably going to take a minute. Okay, so I've seam ripped so that now I can kind of get in between these layers, and I'm just going to take my time and keep seam ripping until this fabric is totally separated from the rest of the bag. The super peely bottom section of the bag is totally removed at this point. I'm gonna flip it wrong side out, which is a little hard to tell, I know. And we can see that it's made up of 6 pieces. So there's one large bottom rectangle, and then there's a long side rectangle, another side rectangle. These two are the same, and another side rectangle is actually put together from 2 pieces. I'm going to take a moment and measure each of these parts and then write that measurement down, because what I need to do is cut out new pieces to create a new bottom for my bag. I'm not sure why there is a center seam here, but I'm just going to measure this full rectangle. So I've got measuring tape. I'm going to measure from the raw edge to the raw edge. So it is about 13.5 inches wide, and it's 4.5 inches tall. The shorter side pieces should also be 4.5 inches tall. Yep, and they are only 8.5 inches wide. Now I'm going to measure the bottom part of the bag, which is 14.25 inches wide and 8.5 inches tall. So these are the pieces that I'm going to cut out of new fabric. I'm going to cut 2 of these, I'm going to cut 2 of these, and I'm going to cut 1 of these. So for whatever bag you're fixing, you'll want to measure each of the pieces that you need to replace. And it's also a good idea to make note of the seam allowance. This bag uses a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I cut out the 5 replacement pieces that are going to make up the bottom panel of my bag. And for your bag, you're just going to want to look and make sure you understand how the bag is constructed based on whatever you are taking apart. So for me, I know that I need to sew these pieces together, and then I'm going to join them around here, and there's going to be a little bit of a curve happening at the corners. I could have chosen to ignore that, but I'm just going to try to stick to the original design. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these all right sides together, and I'm going to stop my stitches a 1/2 inch away from the bottom edge so that I can then join the bottom edges all the way around this large piece. Okay, I'm going to start pinning the pieces, the shorter pieces, to the bottom piece, and I'm going to start at the side, and I'm going to just center the short end of my bottom piece on the short end of the sort of the wall part of the bag, and I will do that on this side as well. So I'm just eyeballing the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and pin, and then I'm going to work my way around until all 5 pieces are pinned together. Okay, they are all pinned and ready to sew. All right, I'm just going to sew all the way around, joining these 5 pieces. I'm going to do a 3/8 inch seam allowance and start with a little back stitch. Okay, everything is joined. Now, in order to join the new bottom to the bag, I want to be able to turn this wrong side out. So I want to find the seam on the liner fabric that the original maker used to construct this bag. So if you look inside any bag you have that has lining, you'll probably find a spot where the seam is a little different, and that is where the last seam was sewn after everything was constructed. So I am going to open up this seam so that I can pull the whole bag wrong side out. Okay, I have an opening in my liner fabric, so now I can pull my bag wrong side out, just like so. And then I'm going to put the right side of my new bottom up against the right side of my bag. So I am going to be putting it inside the bag and then pinning it all the way around and sewing it. I'm going to start by lining up the side seams between the original bag and the new bottom and pin there. And hopefully my seams line up pretty well, but if they don't, it should be pretty minor. Okay, and we're going to come around to this corner. So far it's looking good. Get a pin here. Somehow the side seams lined up with the original bag. I'm just going to throw a few more pins in here, and then I'm going to take this to the machine and sew all the way around with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, the new bottom layer is attached to the old layer, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it right side out through the opening. You might recall there was some top stitching on the original version of the bag. So now I decide, do I want to recreate that top stitching, or do I want to leave it the way it is? So you can kind of see how it looks here. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with the way it's looking right now. So I am going to skip the top stitching, and I might give it a little press with the iron, or I might just leave it the way it is. And of course, I am going to close up the hole that I left in the lining. So I will just line these edges up with each other and then just sew them closed at the machine. The other part of this bag that needs some serious TLC is the handles. So I'm going to go through the same process of seam ripping the old handles off so that I can create something similar. It's probably going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to make a similar handle in the next step. I seam ripped one of the handles completely off the bag. So now I'm just going to take a moment and measure the length, and I'm going to measure the height at the highest point of the handle. So it is 25 inches long. I'm going to go ahead and write that down. And at the widest point of the handle is 2 inches wide. Now I have a whole tutorial on how to recreate a strap in any size. So I'm going to link that tutorial right here. And I'm going to go ahead and make a strap that is just a little bit longer than 25 inches because this has a natural finished edge, this material. And I'm going to be using a cotton canvas. So I'm going to need to fold it over a little bit more. So I'm probably going to add 4 inches to the full length of my strap, and I'm going to go ahead and construct 2 of those. Again, if you want to learn how to construct a strap, just click on the card to my strap making video. I finished up these straps, so I've got 2 straps with a little extra length on them, and I did a little fold up in the middle like the original straps, so that's an option, or you can just leave your straps not folded. So the very last step is to get the straps onto our buckles or strap holders. I guess maybe they're called O-rings. I don't know. If you know what these are called, leave me a comment below. I added 4 inches total to the strap. So that means I have 2 inches on each raw end to fold it over and avoid the raw edges showing. So I'm going to fold it over 2 inches and then fold it again. And the original bag had an X seam joining it. So I am going to go ahead and get this pinned in place and then do that same seam so that my strap is super solid. The straps are attached and my bag is finished. I am super excited to have this bag back in action. I haven't been able to use it for a while since that fabric was littering everywhere I went. And I really hope that this video helps you get one of your bags back in action. If you have a specific comment or question, drop it in the comments below and I would love to try to help you fix your bag. Also, if you're looking for more upcycling and mending tutorials, I have a playlist of other videos that I'm going to link to right here.